between bundlers.
Yep.
So either we check side effects, and logging is not the side effect I would like to check. We're checking the actual side effect, which is user ops in the mempool. If we want to check the actual implementation of the protocol, which again I'm not against, it is a good idea. We need to do a strict checking of the protocol implementation. But that would require the test environment to be able to be part of the protocol.
Yes.
And we're not there yet. Does that, which bundler is in Python?
No, Candid were looking to build, but go on, Sharif.
Yeah, Candid is in Python, yeah.
And how does it implement the P2P?
We did the implementation using Rust. So the P2P part is done in Rust, and the rest of the bundler is in Python.
Okay. We can add such a model to the test framework in order for it to be part.
Yeah.
But the point is that we want the test, when you touch, we want to test the low level, not test the API calls, but the actual messages, P2P messages. It is harder to test. And I still maintain that the test framework tests interoperability. Right? Yes, we would like to test full compliance to the bit of the protocol, but right now this is not what we are doing. We test interoperability, which means that if two bundlers or bundlers misimplement some of the nuances of the protocol, but still are interoperable, it will still pass the test. It is not the best case, but if we think where we should put the effort right now, because we want to get with the mempool running as soon as possible, we are late by a few months. We hoped it to be much faster. It takes time to implement, takes time to create a test. To create a full protocol compliance is difficult. So this is why I stress we should start with interoperability test. The P2P, the framework, as I put it, is interoperability test. It will check any combination of any two bundlers, and if we find scenarios that need more than two, it's easy to add to this testing more complex combinations like every three. It will be manually creating each combination, and then submit and see. Because there are other problems with the P2P testing, like it's easy to test user ops that go from A to B. This is the simple test I already created, but we want to test spamming features, like the point that you stop getting user operation, place where you did receive it over P2P, but then you decided to drop this connection.
Drop it.
At the integration level, it's a bit tricky to test. The only way to test is timeout. I send like bundler A sends 1,000 transaction, bundler B sees the first 100 transaction, and then doesn't see after a timeout more transaction that the send test. This is how you define success of this test. It is not the best way to test it, I agree. But looking at the effort it takes to create the test and implement it and test it in all bundlers, compared to the alternative, which is deep implementation of the protocol in the test suite. I think it's a good way to start.
Okay, so then
we should go and do the deep testing, but as I said, we're not there yet.
Okay, so for now, we'll just limit it to Gossip Sub based tests, like what you've already done, and test it probably with the other implementations as soon as it's ready.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. So
to create the environment for the tests and add more tests. I simply created the hello world test for a single user op. I also fixed it that the framework will ignore casing. Like
Yeah,
know
we
that
are
don't-
already addressing that issue, so we should have a release out soon.
yeah, the debug mempool should be canonical, but again, it's a debug API. So the test framework now canonify the responses. It ignores casing of any user operation it receives from a bundler is considered even if there is a casing error.
Right. On that note, if we can have an update from Sheriff and Will on the status of the P2P implementations and your respective bundlers.
Yes, I think like we are near to get something working. We have finished the B2B part, but right now I'm working in the mempool logic for the bundler. So yeah, so I think like maybe in a couple of days or more, I can get like a node running for testing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a version that we can test it ourselves? Do you have a Docker image or something that we can probably see if we can test it with our test suits?
Yeah, I have it, but no, I didn't create a Docker image yet. But I still didn't finish the mempool, like the mempool logic part. You know, so it won't like right now I can receive gossip, but I still can't send gossip correctly. I still have some bugs.
Okay.
So yeah, so when I finish this part, I will create an image and a Docker image and I will share it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
If you look at the bundler executor code, we talked about it earlier. I think I'm not sure I sent maybe only to you, Pata.
Yeah.
Branch. There is a branch called run to bundlers. I need to merge it into the main. It is capable of running complex tests. Instead of a Docker image that brings everything with a single bundler, it has a Docker image, not Docker image, Docker compose file that brings a single bundler. Another component, it has a Docker compose that brings two bundlers, single node, two bundlers, deploy everything, and then run a set of P2P tests on this bundler A and bundler B. So it can run with any two bundlers, just need a YAML file for a boot node and a YAML file for a peer node. And in that branch, I created these configurations for the Skanda bundler. And there's a tricky part, like you need the ENR from the boot to get into the peer. So I define it also there. Now, it probably will change. I created something that's supposed to be generic, but it was tested only with boot node Skanda and peer node Skanda. So whenever there is a bundler that even can start showing that send or receive user ops, we can create an environment for this bundler. And Sharif, when you're working now, you're working only on being a peer node, or you support both peer and boot?
No, both. It works. It works both. It can be a boot node and it can connect to a peer.
Great, because probably the first configuration will be to test the bundler against itself, like both peer and boot, and then we will create a test file for each combination. That's why we are limiting to two, because having every possible bundler in every some configuration is going to be complex. But any two will create a test for them. I'm trying to think if that any boot and any peer or okay, we'll start with just one of them will be boot and other peer. It's very easy to add more configuration.
Yeah.
Right now, it doesn't run automatically these tests. We'll need to add the dashboard that tests also these, maybe separate dashboard.
Okay.
The same test configuration.
Will, do you have an update for us?
Yes, I'm writing a document about how to start this P2P feature with Sirius. And I'm testing with the Etherspot bundler right now. I'm still having some encoding problem about this SSA simple serialize and snappy compression. I think the current problem is the snappy compression algorithm is Etherspot is reporting error that I sent the message I sent to the I checked that with Python version and check the like a ping the ping message ping with you unsigned int one some kind of this kind of message and encode that with simple serialize and use snap to compare it. The output is the same. My implementation, and I also look at the Etherspot code. I noticed
We lost it.
We lost you, Will.
It seems they don't use the library directly. They have some kind of it would be helpful. I think ultimately we should maybe have some.
Sorry,
Can you hear me?
we lost you in between. We couldn't hear.
Where was
You said you were
I
testing
actually?
something with the Etherspot bundler, but after that, it was all garbled. We couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was saying I'm testing the with Etherspot. There's some problem with the snap. I think it's in the snap. I try to use Python to encode this message like a ping message with unsigned int one. So the output of the Rust implementation and the Python implementation are the same. But I was looking at the Etherspot code, and I think Etherspot have some own implementation. It doesn't use the library directly. It changed a little bit. It has some implementation I didn't actually look at very closely. So
Okay,
I was
if you can point me towards your Docker image or the repository that contains the code for P2P, I could probably debug that with you, and we can sort this out.
Okay. I'm writing the document. I would send that to you as soon as possible. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
And I think for this as a simple serialize and snappy part, we could probably like the consensus spec have some test cases in the bundler spec test repo that generate. I have a PR before, but I didn't continue the work there. So I should probably continue and we should probably look at that.
Sure, sounds good.
Okay.
Cool. So the question, I mean, this is for everyone as such, given that the event during DevConnect has now been postponed, Tom was asking if we could probably schedule a virtual event in the first week of December. Do you think the teams will be ready with the shared mempool implementation by then? Is that probably a likely date for announcement? Dror and Yoav, this is more a question for you as well.
Actually, we didn't look into testing. We didn't look into the implementation. We need to look into it too, so that the reference bundler will be supported too. I think so, but we'll have to talk about it and then give you a concrete answer.
Okay. Then that also I mean, we'd have to also agree then what is the next testnet we support now that Godly will be decommissioned by the end of the year. And if all other bundlers are not ready, then we have to probably switch over to a new testnet.
It's going to be Sepolia, isn't it? Is there any
Yeah, but
option?
Sepolia still doesn't have enough Flashport relay support.
What other options do we have?
I don't know. Probably for your to suggest. He was looking to speak to Ethereum DevOps to see if we could increase support there. So I don't know. Do you have a view?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Now that we don't foresee all bundler implementation to be ready probably by end of November, and given that Godly is going to be decommissioned, which testnet should we switch over testing to?
So I think that since we last talked about it, Sepolia got, last time I checked, it was over 800. It was over 800 MEV boost, right?
Oh, is it? Okay.
So let me check the current numbers, but I think it may be usable. But I didn't follow on when Girly is going to be decommissioned. When does it happen?
I thought it was by the end of this year. I don't know when exactly, but now that Holinsky is up and running, we don't know.
Okay, so let me check for a second. Yeah, so in Sepolia, it's currently it's 821 out of 1,972. It's still less than a half, but it may be usable.
Okay.
But otherwise, I don't know about Holinsky. Let me see. And also, we should try to find out the plan about Girly, because I'm not aware of a target date.
Okay. And would it also make sense for us to test on any of the L2 chains as well? Because focusing just on Godly, we would need to handle the duplicate user op rejections when we move it to an L2, right? So should we run a test there as well?
Yeah, why not do it on one of the test nets? On one of the test nets that support it, like Arbitrum.
Okay.
There is a document that says that Girly is deprecated at sorry. Yeah, it deprecated January in 1993, supported long-term for another 12 months. It is now deprecated and will shut down by January 24. Yeah. Now it's in LTS state.
Okay. So we'll wait for you to confirm, but for now we'll run with Godly and then consider Arbitrum, either Sepolia or Godly again for another round of tests.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good, and I'll try to find out regarding the Godly.
Right. Thank you. The next one, I had a question on this valid until and valid from in paymasters. Just trying to understand, was this kind of used for future execution of user ops? Is that the idea behind this two fields, or Is there a way where you could implement a use case where, say, like a standing order, a given user op will get executed only in future? Was the idea behind that, or?
Yes and no. Yes, it is specifying that this user op is only valid in the future, but it's not something a bundler should bother. If a bundler is a user op that is valid, that is not valid now, it is perfectly fine to drop it. It is meant for, like, a future coupon. A paymaster gave you an information that you will be able to use at a given time. You, as an end user, is supposed to hand it over to a bundler only when it is valid. The bundler is not expected to hold them in a pending pool and use it sometime in the future. It may, but it's not a basic feature.
Yeah, most likely it shouldn't. A normal bundle shouldn't. This field is relevant for special services, like if you're running a higher layer service that does something with it. So like pending orders or whatever. But the other field is relevant because you get, the valid until. It means that it is currently valid, so the bundler should keep it in the mempool, try to include it, and drop it without having to resimulate when the time passes, because it can no longer be valid.
Yeah.
But the other field is only for special services, not for normal bundlers.
Right. And sorry, go on, bro.
No, and just I'm not sure we wrote it. It's not normative, but you can ignore user ops that are expected to expire until they get on chain. So it is, again, like something like 30 seconds. I think we talked about it in the past.
We did, but
it's a bundler decision. It's not a reason to penalize it. It's not a rule. It is something that you, in first validation, you can check out and drop it. So if it's valid until only too little time into the future.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think whether it's a way to create an attack on a bundler, but like what you do if another bundler send you over a P2P, user operation all expire within 10 seconds. Is it considered a spammer? So it's a nuance, and we need to, because you are required to validate them all, but they all fail.
Yeah.
But since you shouldn't propagate in this case, the bundler knows the block time of the network it lives on, so it should know that it's not going to be valid by the time the next block occurs. In which case, it shouldn't try to include it, but also it shouldn't try to propagate it to others. So I think if you get a lot of such things from someone, then it is something that.
Let me put it better. I got something that is valid until a little over the next block. So they are all valid into the next block. It just, because of gas pricing, they will not fit it. They will not fit in. Okay, I got 10,000 of such user ops, but there is enough in the mempool to fill. They should wait more than one block. So yes, they are valid for the next block, but probably will never get included because they don't pay enough. This is the spamming case, not that they are clearly invalid.
Right.
There is a high chance, very high chance they will get invalid, but not 100%.
But in that sense, it's also other forms of invalidation that are not time-based would work similarly. It's if something gets, something can get invalidated with the time field. At least you don't need to do a second simulation. But yes, it could happen. It is something that a bundler might need a strategy for.
Okay.
So yeah, well, we should think about it.
Yes, need to add it. Okay.
The other one was on the alt mempool. Do you have an update on that?
On the
For USDC, yeah.
no, we don't have update on the.
But we should mention there are two with USDC. There were two discussions. One of them actually we solved. I mean, the primary thing that came up is something that we recently solved without the need of an alt mempool, with a new rule we added about read-only access to unassociated storage. Because with USDC specifically, it was not usable at all because first of all, it's an upgradable proxy, so it needs to access an implementation slot, and it has a paused slot. So it needed to access two slots, but these are S-load, not S-store. So with the new rule, you can S-load from anywhere if you're a staked paymaster. So that part is solved. The only part that is not solved and that does need an alt mempool is approvals, because you can't. I mean, if you need to do the approval, then you need an alt mempool. And this one is we are still working on something.
Okay. So yeah, I didn't have anything else in my agenda. If there is anything else that others would like to raise, then. Cool. So.
All right.
All right. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Drew, I'll continue to work. See if I test out your branch, and you let us know when you have merged it to master. We can test it further.
Okay.
If I can think of anything on the request response tests, I'll discuss with you, and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
So just letting I dropped the thing with Hive because it's getting into a cyclic dependency nightmare. I have to write a new tooling to do the same thing for ETH2-based clients. So I think your approach is a lot easier to implement, so we probably should go with that.
Okay. Good.
All right, then. Thank you. Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.